of my life, who shall I be afraid of? Even when the wicked came up, enemies end up. Eat up my flesh, but stumble and fell. The host that camp against me, they in trouble as well. The war rise against me, I will be confident. My Yah's for Yah's my light and my salvation. Yah is the strength. One thing I desire is to dwell in the house of the highest. Behold his beauty in his temple, inquire, lift my head higher. And offer sacrifices and joy, I'll sing praises. Please hear me when I cry with my voice. Say, seek your face. I said your face, I must seek. Facing the east, praising your name in the place where you placed it to be. Patient and meek, I won't complain when I seek. If all forsake me, please. Yahweh, save me and see. Oh Elohim, teach me the way and lead me in the path that's plain. Please do not deliver me to the will of my enemies and false witnesses who always speak critically. I would have fainted unless I believed to see the goodness of Yahweh in the land of the living. So I'm waiting, just being encouraged and healed, strengthened. Your heart, you gotta wait on Yah, that's all I'm saying. Whatever you start it off by praying. Before a flower grow, you gotta water the plants. Just cause you wait on Yah, that don't mean don't start on your plans. Wait on Yah.
Wait on Yah, Israel. Wait on Yah, world. Adversity.
Adversity.
That's not gonna thing.
That's not going to change. Because you still got to eat and sleep every single day. And Yahweh is the one vexing. You think it's somebody else, but it's Yahweh vexing. And you refuse to humble yourself to Yahweh. So it's easy to say, man, you vexing me. Because then I still don't got to humble myself. But when you say Yahweh vexing me, what you got to do? You got to get low. You got to humble yourself.
That's right.
But you refuse to humble yourself, so you just point the finger at everybody else that's vexing. It's you that's bringing me this problem. It's you that's bringing me this trouble. It's you that's bringing me down.
But what
What about Yahweh?
right? So we about to get into another Bible study today, y'all, about forgiveness because this is something that I think everybody in the world struggles with, including me, everybody. We all struggle with forgiveness. That's just a part of our nature, right? And why do we struggle with forgiveness? Why do we struggle with that? Hmm. Is it because we don't want to take accountability for our own actions? Is that part of the reason why we struggle with forgiveness? Is this part of the reason why we find it hard to apologize? Ooh, praise Yah. So let me go back up to the top of this page. Hold on one second. I want to thank Yah first of all for this day. I love Yah. I pray the Most High keep my tongue as we move forward in this Bible study and guide us and show us His great words and help us gain understanding. Praise Yah. So, let's honor Yah, give the Most High all the glory and all the praise. Let's turn our books first to Proverbs. And this is from our brother Azariyahu Yasharala about forgiveness, and Gabar Yasharala. They want to talk about forgiveness and grudges. Praise Yah. So if you are on the phone, computer, have a Bible, turn to Proverbs chapter 10. And let's start at verse 12. It says, hatred stirreth up strifes, but love covers all sins. Love covers all sins. Right? Hatred stirs up strifes. The way that we communicate with one another stirs up strifes. We talk to each other with hatred rather than with love. You can correct someone and not correct them in hatred. You can correct someone in love. And that's just dealing with correction. And when it gets to heated debates and arguments, now we're stirring up strife. So that tells you that that's hatred, because strife is stirred up from that. Outbursts. So how we communicate with one another is very important. And I know it's hard sometimes because we all struggle with our feelings and how we feel. And it made me feel a certain way, and so I had an outburst. Trust me, I understand. I've had my dealings with the so-called law. You know what I'm saying? And when you can't control those emotions, you start to kind of lose it a little bit. Right? Some things cause for more anger and hatred than others. See, when it comes to your own people, we want to take it out on our own people with the aggression that's inside of us and our feelings, because we are afraid to deal with the real issue. And the real issue is not the white man. Right? The real issue is not the white man. Because the white man is evil, just like the black man is evil, just like the Latino man is evil, just like the Asian man is evil, the Jewish man is evil, the Arab man is evil. All men are evil, right? We are all evil. All of our hearts are desperately wicked. Who can know it? Let's go to Leviticus chapter 19. Leviticus 19, verse 18. You shall not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am YAH. Right? Love your neighbor as yourself. You shall not in any wise rebuke your neighbor. Can you rebuke Satan? Absolutely. Because Satan is one of uh, the entities that provokes spirits. You can rebuke Satan. The Most High rebuked Satan. You can, and the Most High didn't tell you not to rebuke Satan. You can absolutely rebuke Satan. But when it comes to your people, right? Because we understand that wickedness is a choice. We choose to be wicked, right? It's a choice. And you've chosen to go over to the dark side. You've chosen to go over there and dwell in darkness and allow Satan to provoke your spirit. You've invited that into your life. But should we hold any grudges against our people for that? Absolutely not. It wouldn't even make sense to hold a grudge because it's all temporary, anyways. No one can torture someone for the rest of their life. That's a choice, too. So, no, that person that's bringing the evil about is bringing evil on themselves. They're inviting wickedness and evil into their own lives the more that they meditate on wickedness. So to hold a grudge against them really wouldn't even make sense. Now, do you have to trust that person? Absolutely not. Do you have to be buddy buddy with them? Absolutely not. Because you're not a fool. But do you have to hold in all of that anger and animosity and bitterness? Do you have to hold it in for that person? Absolutely. That's what forgiveness means. Forgiveness is the releasing of that bitter energy. That's why they say forgiveness is for yourself. Forgiveness means to cease having bitter or angry feelings about something or someone. And that's something that we all have to work on because all of us have hurt someone, whether we want to accept it or not. All of us have hurt someone. Let's go to Proverbs 19. Proverbs 19. And verse 11. The discretion of a man defers his anger, and it is his glory to pass over a transgression. So it's not a bad thing to look over something or look past something. It's your glory. When you use your wisdom in every one of these situations, when you have understanding in every one of the situations that you're dealing with people, right? The discretion of a man defers his anger. Some things are worth more energy than others. And the things that are worth more energy are the things that you need to resolve, not react over. We like to react, but we don't resolve. Reactions do not solve problems. Resolutions solve problems. If you see someone uh, laid out on the ground, you see somebody fall down on the ground. I fell down today, scraped up my knee, and nobody was around really. So it's not a personal thing. But say someone was around, say there was a group of people that were standing there and they're just looking at me and just reacting. Oh my gosh. Oh, but no one's coming to help me get up. Imagine an old person, an elderly person needs help with something, and say they drop everything they have, and there's a group of people standing around and just like oohing and eyeing, all kind of like today with the phones and stuff, right? Reacting instead of resolving. And that's what society has become. See, society has become um, filled with reaction instead of resolution. And that's why everything is messed up. So instead of dealing with things based on our emotion, instead of coming at things a certain way, the Most High wants us to be wise in how we deal with every situation. And I know that people say this and people, kind of think they know this, but then we react, our actions say something totally different. Every situation we get in, we like to talk about these things, but how do you really handle horrible situations? How do you handle stress? Because all of this ties into forgiveness. How do you think about a situation? Do you have any understanding? The discretion of a man defers his anger, and it is his glory to pass over a transgression. Because we all know that one of us, all of us really, is going to sin at least once, probably every day, knowingly or unknowingly. And so you're going to want someone to look over your transgression, and you're going to definitely want the Creator to look over your transgression. So, yes, it is His glory to pass over a transgression. Because who are we? Right? Let's go to Proverbs 15. Proverbs 15 and 1. So, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. There you go again. How we communicate with one another. We have to work on that. When you know that there was a miscommunication, you need to work that out. When you know that you said something that offended someone, you need to work that out. Don't just let the other person feel a certain type of way unless that was your goal. If your goal was to stir up anger, then you're going to react in a harsh way anyway. But if your goal was not to stir up anger, you need to use more gentle answers. You need to have some gentle answer. Communication is very important. It starts with communication. All of our trauma that we're dealing with starts with communication first. Something had to be communicated at some point. At some point. Unless you're dealing with an animal, because animals don't know how to communicate with us anyway. So there was something that was communicated or miscommunication. It all starts with some form of communication. When we're dealing with relationships and the people that are in our lives. And then you also have to consider that the world is crazy. Like, the world is crazy. People have mental illnesses because we're not living in a righteous world. We're living in a world full of chaos and trauma. Let's go to Jeremiah 51:7. Jeremiah 51:7 says, Babylon was a gold cup in Yah's hand. She made the whole earth drunk. The nations drank her wine. Therefore, they have now gone mad. Everything is in turmoil. Everything is in disarray. Everything is just upside down. It's all upside down. Because of our sins. It always goes back to our sins against the Most High. Because when you're offending other people, you're offending the Most High. I don't care what nation they are. When you're offending other people, you're offending the Most High. Because the Most High didn't tell you to walk around and be wicked towards others. That's not what the Most High commanded us to do. Go to and I wanted to say we have to learn to push out the negative vibes, right? We have to learn to push those negative vibes away from us. I know it gets hard. It gets hard because we feel like, well, we're only human, right? I can only take so much. But we have to learn to work through all of our emotions. You feel disrespected. You feel a certain way because of words. That's the first mistake. Is that we have to stop being so emotional with words. The first mistake is we have to stop being so defensive about words. If you're not in direct harm, right? If you're not being attacked physically, a physical attack is not happening to you, a word should not offend you like that. You understand? It shouldn't offend you like that. I can understand you don't want to be treated a certain way. So you feel like I have to check that. And there are ways that you can check certain things, right? There are ways that you can do that. You can leave. That's one thing you can do. You can always leave because nobody has the power to make you stay. You understand? Only the Most High has that power. Nobody has the power to make you stay in an emotionally stressful relationship. And definitely not in a physically abusive relationship. You understand? I don't care who you are. You have the power to walk away. And if somebody is trying to take your life, well, you take theirs. Eye for an eye. Simple. There's no reason to walk around with grudges. There's no reason to walk around feeling like, I cannot forgive. I cannot let go of this anger. There is no reason. And see, a lot of people feel like Hebrew Israelites. Now, I know a lot of the brothers out there, like ISUP, a lot of those camps and stuff, they are pretty angry. Like, they out there cursing out people on the streets and telling people, rebuking the people on the street corner. And I don't agree with that. That's what those brothers do. Freedom of speech, right? But when people think of the Hebrew Israelites, that's what they see. And they think that that's the spirit that all of us have. When in reality, anger lies in the bosom of fools. There's a time and a place for war. Right? And it's not always a time to war. Sometimes you can stand down. It's okay. And people have to understand the difference between someone who's angry and someone who has a guard up. There are people who are angry when you encounter them, and then there are people who have a guard up. Having up a guard just means that you're ready to defend yourself if physically attacked. Physically, right? But when you are angry and you're walking around angry, well, when someone encounters you, you're going to look at them and deal with them with an attitude. That's not having up a defense. That's anger. That's someone who's walking around with anger. Right? People have to learn these things. We're in a very different time. We're in a dangerous time. I mean, the world, when has it never been dangerous, right? But especially now, it's just like with all the stuff happening out in these streets, you have to have your defenses up. You have to have your guard up. A fool walks around with their guard down. And some people take that as maybe you're having an attitude. But then when they encounter you and communicate with you, it's very pleasant. Right? Because that's only wise. We're in a dangerous place. So when you have up your guard, doesn't mean that you're angry. Anger comes from the way we deal with each other, the way we talk to one another. Right? We have to be mindful of these things, y'all. We have to take accountability for the things that we've done wrong ourselves and move forward. Forgive those who hurt you in the past and move forward. And forgiveness doesn't mean you have to call them up, because the definition of forgiveness is often gets misconstrued, and People think you have to have a long conversation with the person or people that hurt you and accept some form of apology. Apologies are for the Creator. Forgiveness is for us. Ain't nobody got to offer you nothing. But should they make a wrong a right? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, let's go to uh, Exodus real quick. Let's go to Exodus. Yeah, apologies are for the Creator. We have to learn to let go of the anger that we're harboring in ourselves, right? And let's start at verse. As a matter of fact, before I say that, because I was making a point that apologies are for the Creator. So let's go to First Kings actually. Let's go to First Kings, y'all. I apologize. I gotta say this first. All right, and First Kings 8. Let's start at verse 30. And let me go to the New King, or not the New King. Let me go to King James. Start at verse 30, y'all. It says, "And hearken you to the supplication of your servant and of your people Israel, when they shall pray toward this place, and hear you in heaven, your dwelling place. And when you hear, forgive." When you hearest, y'all, forgive. Sorry, y'all, these bees getting in my face. I got these wooden bees in my head. Anyways, um, so we have to. We're begging Yah, basically, right, to listen to our prayers. We're apologizing to the Creator. Essentially, that's what we're doing. Begging for the Most High's forgiveness. Verse 31. "If any man trespass against his neighbor, and an oath be laid upon him to cause him to swear, and the oath come before your altar in this house, then hear you in heaven, and do the judge your servants condemning, and do and judge your servants condemning the wicked, to bring his way upon his head, and justifying the righteous, to give him according to his righteousness. When your people Israel be smitten down before the enemy, because they have sinned against you, and shall turn again to you, and confess your name, and pray, and make supplication unto you in this house, then hear you in heaven, and forgive the sin of your people Israel, and bring them again unto the land which you gave unto their fathers." Right? So we're asking the Most High for forgiveness. We're apologizing to our Creator. We're apologizing to Yah. Apologies. We all should be apologizing to Yah. Those belong to the Creator. Because all of us have sinned against the Most High. Right? Now we can go to Exodus 21. And let's go to verse 23. And it says, "And if any mischief follow, while this is talking about someone who hits a woman in the stomach and she has a miscarriage as a result in verse 22, right? If any mischief follow, then you shall give life for life. So if somebody takes her son away, then his life shall be taken away. Praise Yah, brother Ryan Hinton Jr. Right? That's how that goes. Eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for strife. Right? The Most High wants us to understand forgiveness and retribution are two different things. Forgiveness and correction are two different things. Right? So people think just because you're forgiving or because there's forgiveness that there is no retribution. That's not true. You can forgive and punish at the same time. Let's read verse 28. If an ox gore a man or a woman that they die, then the ox shall be surely stoned, and his flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall be quit. So if somebody's dog, because I had to kill a dog before, if somebody's dog is coming at you and trying to attack you because they done got it on a leash and it's big and it's got, you know what I'm saying? You can kill that animal. And the same goes for people. If someone is trying to physically harm you, you can take their life away. You understand? The Most High has no problem with that. That's how it's supposed to be. But people are afraid because the laws are so backwards. The laws are not right. Someone's coming to physically attack you, you kill that person. And I'm not talking about somebody running away from you unarmed. But if somebody is coming at you with a weapon, you have every right to kill that person. But people are afraid. Why? Because you get tried in the court of law in this crooked nation and you get seen as the criminal. You'll get seen as a criminal for defending yourself. That's how evil the world has become. You will be seen as the perpetrator for defending your own life. And people don't see anything wrong with those types of laws. They want to save those types of laws. And then they complain about them later. When the Most High told you don't have to live like that. People, you ain't got to live like that. And the brother told me I was getting shadow banned by YouTube. That's okay. Because we still gonna talk about the Most High's word. It don't matter. The land that our people dwell on today in the north, not the other corners of the earth, but in the north, particularly, was stolen by an indigenous people. We've heard this story how many times? Have we heard this? Stolen from the indigenous. No retribution till this day. None whatsoever. They slaughtered those people, took their land, and then they brought another nation over to be their slaves. But they didn't just bring them to be their slaves, because They had to torture them. Sex trafficking, organ trafficking. Nothing new under the sun. They've been doing all these things. But see, it was just open season on the plantation. And no one stopped them. No retribution till this day. And they still get away with murking unarmed black men predominantly. Right? No retribution. Their healthcare system, it kills black women intentionally. No retribution. And black babies as well. No retribution. Poisoning the waters and the foods, no retribution. And people complain about it, but yet they want to save this type of law. Well, I'm here to tell you that's not any type of law at all. That is not a law. That's right. It's not the Most High's law. That's not any type of law that you should be following. If you follow YAH's laws, they wouldn't have a choice or perish. If you follow YAH's laws, they would not have a choice but to follow YAH's laws or perish. Let's go to Psalm 7. Let's go back to forgiveness. Let's go back to forgiveness. Because forgiveness and retribution, grudges, and all of these things go together. You can't have one without the other. You got to have forgiveness. You got to have retribution. Right? You have to have these things. You have to be able to hold people accountable. Otherwise, you're just living in wickedness, which is what we're living in today. Everything is out of order. All right, so Psalms 7, and let's go to verse 14. It says, "Behold, he travails with iniquity and has conceived mischief and brought forth falsehood. He made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own pate. I will praise Yah according to his righteousness, and will sing praise to the name of Yah Most High." So you see, the people or the person or whatever, whoever it is that's digging a pit for you, they're going to fall into their own ditch. They're going to fall into their own ditch. They want you to fall. But they will fall into their own ditch. Because that's what they meditate on. They meditate on evil. Let's go to Proverbs. So they invite the evil into their lives. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 5. And let's start at verse 21. It says, "For the ways of man are before the eyes of Yah, and he ponders all his goings." The Most High is watching all of this. "His own iniquities shall take the wicked himself, and he shall be holden with the cords of his sins. He shall die without instruction, and in the greatness of his folly he shall go astray." So while they think they're getting over on you, while they think that they're making you uh, fall into their traps, while they think that they're stopping you in your tracks, and they think they're destroying you because they're wicked and they're bent on wicked, they're going to fall into their own ditch. Their own iniquities are going to take them. They're going to die without instruction. So there's no reason to hold a grudge. You see? No reason to hold a grudge. None of us can live without the Most High's instruction. Do you know that? None of us can live without the Most High's instruction. That's proof. And that's why we all perish quickly. We have to forgive because we expect the Most High to forgive us. We offended the Most High. Remember that. We offended the Most High with our sins. So who are we to hold resentment and anger and all this bitterness and all of that? Who are we to hold that towards some? I don't care because I understand I have to work on me. I have to work on bettering myself. All of us, we have to work on bettering ourselves. What the next person got going on, that's what they're dealing with personally. And maybe the Most High is using them to test you. The Most High tested Job. And then he gave him a double blessing in the end. So be mindful of how you enter these situations. Use wisdom in every situation in your dealings with other people. If you have a personal issue and maybe you don't want to hurt people intentionally, maybe you do, I don't know, you need to work through that and figure out what's wrong inside of you that makes you feel that way. Because something's not right. And when I mean by hurt other people, I mean you go out there looking to ruin someone else's vibe, disturb somebody's peace instead of looking within, trying to make someone else feel less than because of something going on within internally. Go to Psalm 19. Go to Psalm 19. And let's start at verse 14. Matter of fact, let's start at verse 13. Keep back your servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. Then shall I be upright, and I shall be innocent from the great transgression. See? So before we even get into what your heart is about, what it's meditating on and all of that, we need to talk about getting this sin away from me, keeping me back from it, from temptations and all of these things that tempt me to sin. We got to get away from it. And then verse 14 says, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Yah, my strength and my redeemer. So is the Most High talking about in our dealings with others? Is this showing us how we should build relationships? Well, it's certainly telling you what you should be doing. The words of your mouth, the meditation of your heart should be acceptable in the sight of the Creator. But in order for that to be understood, first we have to understand what the Most High hates. So then we go to Proverbs 6, and then let's start at verse 16. And it says, "These 6 things does the Most High hate. Yes, 7 are an abomination unto him: a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood." The Most High hates these things. "A heart that devises wicked imaginations." And you know what a wicked imagination is. It's mischief, things you know you're not supposed to be doing. Things innately in us that we just know we're not supposed to be doing. You know it's wrong. You know those things, those wicked imaginations. Feet that be swift in running to mischief. Verse 19, "A false witness that speaks lies, and he that sows discord among brethren." So you out here spreading lies on people, rumors, gossiping, spreading discord, sowing discord among your brethren, meaning you're trying to cause division amongst people. "My son, keep your father's commandment and forsake not the law of your mother." Then it goes into bind them continually upon your heart and tie them about your neck. That's what you need to be tying around your neck, not a cross. Okay? Our sins are keeping us from living in peace. Because the world could be very peaceful. You just look at it, you go, especially when you go to certain places like tropical islands, right? Out in the Caribbean, and you go over to Africa, Mama Africa, you go over to places in Asia, even Europe has beautiful places, right? And the world could be very peaceful. America has some parts to it that are still kind of like, field. They look kind of untouched, just nature. The world can definitely be a peaceful place, but it's our sins that keep us from obtaining that. And we refuse to change. We want it to change. All of us want it to change because all of us want to live a better life. Even the wicked want a better life. Everybody wants a better life. But in order to have one, we have to change. Because all of us at the end of the day, no matter how much money you have, no matter how little you have, we're all living on the same planet. We're all living in the same chaos. Because even if you're off in some remote place where there's no one around you, that's depressing as hell. Okay? Because people are meant to be in a community. But you can't be in a community full of recklessness and mischief. People don't survive. They can't live in that. That's what happens when you allow the wicked to go unchecked. There's no retribution. which leads me to, or leads me back to rather, Exodus 21, when the Most High tells us that we're supposed to make a wrong right. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth, life for life. Because there's certain things that have to be, everything has to be dealt with a certain way. Some sins cause for death. And people have to understand that. There's nothing cruel about that. Some sins cause for another person's death. It calls for somebody else's death. Because if you take somebody's life without cause, then yours should be taken. Because you made a cause to take your life. When you're shedding innocent blood, when you're doing certain things, it requires punishment. But there is no punishment for sin because nobody wants to do the right thing. And that is a part of doing the right thing. Doing the right thing is not about being weak and just letting stuff slide and letting stuff spread. And well, I'm a good person, and so we don't fight back. Good people fight back. Who lied to you and told you that? The wicked told you that good people aren't supposed to fight back. That's what the wicked told you, because the wicked doesn't want you to fight them. Duh. But when it comes to forgiveness, and when it comes to holding grudges, there's no reason to hold a grudge. When you're living in a righteous or under a righteous law, there is no reason to hold a grudge. Because you know the wicked gonna get it. They're gonna get their punishment. And you can forgive. You can let go of that anger. Because the Most High is gonna forgive you when you turn to the Most High. Sincerely. Let's go to 2 Chronicles 7. Let's go to 2 Chronicles 7. And let's start at verse 14. Matter of fact, let's start at verse 13. It says, if I shut up heaven that there be no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves, because we got to work on that. In order to learn and truly understand forgiveness, we have to learn to be humble about things. Because sometimes maybe you were wrong. We're not always right. Unless Most High tells you you're perfect. Right? So we have to learn to humble ourselves. And pray. And seek my face. And turn from their wicked ways. Then will I hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sin, and will heal their land. See, the Most High is requiring that you humble yourself first, right? Seek the Most High, and you actually have to turn from your wicked ways. You actually have to turn from your wicked ways. There is no, okay, I prayed today, but tomorrow. There's none of that. This is why it's not going to change for the wicked. It's going to change for the people trying to do right. But it's not going to change for the, what did the Most High say? They're going to die without instruction. Without instruction. That sounds horrible. That sounds miserable. So when you're humble and you're sincere when you come before the Creator, you actually stopped doing the wicked things that brought you down on your knees to pray in the first place. Then the Most High will hear from heaven and forgive you and heal your land. But we know that nobody's really sincere because look at the world. It's every time I'm scrolling sometimes, because you know sometimes we all be scrolling, and I'm seeing all these missing persons reports. I'm like, what is going on? This should not be happening. I'm seeing all this bad news. People killing each other. Pollution. Hate. Anger. Strife. Debate. It's like people just hate each other. And then we wonder why the world is the way it is. We hate each other. We hate on each other. It's like, dang. I couldn't help the fact that I was born. People, I understand you couldn't help the fact that you were born. I'm not mad at you. We all just here, right? We all just here. We all got here somehow. So why is it that we can't learn to work together? Where's the... Something ain't right. Right? Well, let's go to Ecclesiastes 8 then. Because this is why, and I'll say it again, this is why people have no desire to change from their wicked ways. Let's start at verse 11. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. That's why. Sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. If someone does something evil, it's not punished immediately. That person is not punished immediately. In most cases. Therefore, the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. Verse 12. Though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged, like the Pope, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear YAH, fear the Creator, which fear before him. But it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he fears not before Elohim. His days are a shadow. People say, we all die. Okay, we all die right now. But the wicked doesn't understand that the Creator is coming back. And the Creator is rising up. Things that have passed away. He's raising those things up. But the wicked's days are as a shadow. They will not be a part of the Most High's kingdom. Period. This is man's kingdom. Do you understand? And that's why man feels like man is God. Because he can just do whatever he wants without his evil work, or the sentence against his evil work being executed speedily. Because he's not punished immediately. Because retribution is in his hand. For now. But then there's only so much that you can do to ruin the earth before the earth turns on you. Right? Because you can't even live without the earth. But you're destroying it. That's foolish. But you don't care because you think, oh, well, that's not going to happen in my lifetime, because you're selfish. And they don't consider. The wicked, they don't consider. They don't care. You can try to correct them till you're blue in the face, and they're still gonna go out doing wicked. But what they don't realize is it's not a waste of time for the righteous to do the right thing. It's a waste of time for the wicked to continue down their path, because they will die without instruction. You see? When you're a keeper of the Most High's earth, when you're a keeper of the peace, when you're a keeper of righteousness, someone who wants to do right, you are one with the earth. You're one with the earth. The earth belongs to you. The earth does not want all of these things. You think the earth wants all of these things that are happening on it to happen? You think the earth is just some inanimate object? The earth brings life. Of course it's alive. The earth grows life. Why would we be growing? Why would things grow on something that's not alive? People don't consider these things, though. The earth is a living vessel, a living thing. And we're steadily destroying it as if we're the most important form of life to ever be created. No, all of us had to be created for this program to work. So, retribution is important when it comes to forgiveness, when it comes to um, holding grudges and all of that. People usually hold grudges because there's no retribution, because there's no punishment. That's why people usually hold grudges. But if you have swift accountability, you would have less people holding grudges naturally, because there's retribution. And so, yes, don't just ignore that certain things have to be taken care of in order for a lot of people to forgive. Because a lot of people don't understand how a lot of Hebrews might understand. that the Most High is in charge of all things. And so we don't have to hold these grudges. We don't have to do all of that because we have a more mature understanding of the earth, right? We have a more mature understanding of the Most High. But for the average person out there who doesn't have that understanding, all they know is no one is punishing anybody for hurting anybody. And I'm just watching it happen continually or continuously, right? That would frustrate anybody. It frustrates the Hebrews. Believe that. But we understand what's happening right now is just a result of the sins coming to a halt. And so, what may look like Armageddon to someone else looks like a cleansing to someone else. It shouldn't look like Armageddon to you because you should be out there trying to do the right thing. It shouldn't look like the end of your world to you because you should be out there trying to make your wrongs right. That's the time that you're living in. You should be trying to make your wrongs right. All of us should. Go to Proverbs 25. Another thing that can help you to stop holding grudges is Proverbs 25. And start at verse 9. It says, debate your cause with your neighbor himself, and discover not a secret to another. Debate your cause without the anger or the hatred that brings up strife. Right? Give a gentle answer so you're not stirring up wrath, making someone else angry. Don't scream at them. Right? If they're not threatening you or threatening to harm you or physically harming you, there's nothing to scream about. Calm down. Debate your cause. Right? This is how we should deal with one another. We should be gentle, especially when a man is dealing with a woman. He should learn to be more gentle with her. And then there are some women who just love strife. And in that case, you can walk away. You can walk away. You don't have to live in chaos and stress and have your nerves all messed up. And she's got to deal with whatever she's got going on because she's she's probably been traumatized. Who knows? But she got to work out her own issues. And then you as a man, you got to work out your issues. Don't come at her like, King Kong. And then get mad when she walks away. Because she's not going to be abused. Because nobody has to sit there and take abuse from either side. Nobody does. People have a right to protect their peace, their inner peace, all of that. So, if you have anger issues, that's something you need to work on. I understand because I used to be a hothead myself. I used to be a hothead. So I understand. But you can't be emotional. You can't be overly emotional about every little thing, right? To the point you want to get to screaming and shouting at somebody, and some people get to breaking stuff, and it's a whole scene. It's a whole mess. And we got to raise our kids to be that way, to be calmer. We got to raise them to be more gentle with one another, or they're going to grow up, next generation, continuing killing each other. Because this generation is killing each other like never before. Killing each other so much and so fast, they ain't gonna have a generation in a minute. So how we have to take accountability in ourselves first. And by taking accountability, it doesn't always mean that you have to show that outwardly. That's internal as well. But it'll show in your demeanor, right? You won't be so angry. And people have to stop being offended so easily because they misunderstood someone. There's a miscommunication. You might have mistaken somebody's anger for just their natural demeanor. They're probably not even angry. That's just their energy. That's just how they're very dominant. And I know people are not used to seeing dominance, especially in our people. And so people take offense to that. Now, there are some of our people that go out there and they're walking around trying to attack each other. We're literally attacking. So that is aggressive. That is anger. But just because someone looks dominant, we have to stop being offended because that's a sign of strength. That's what we want in a community. We don't want a bunch of people running around looking scared of everything, right? Especially our men. We don't want them running around looking like a bunch of scary cats. So let the men be dominant. That's a part of who they are. And let the women be dominant. If she has dominance in her and she is wise, don't try to treat her like a toddler. Let her show forth her dominance. Because there's a time and a place for everything. You might be better at things, I'm sure you are, than she is, and she's going to be better at some things than you are. And that's a partnership. Right? And not even in just marriages, but all of these relationships in our community. We have to learn to work together. All of us have different personalities. And I'm not offended by anyone's personality. I'm offended when someone attacks me. You understand? There's a difference. But I'm not offended by anybody's personality. And so we have to learn each other and who we are as people to get along. Right? So I don't want to go all the way over and left field and go into a whole therapy session and all of that. But let's go to Malachi verse 3. and let's start at verse 5. So the Most High says, "And I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the idolaters, or adulterers, and against false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow, and the fatherless, and that take aside or turn aside the stranger from his right. And fear not me, saith Yah of hosts. For I am Yah, I change not. Therefore you sons of Jacob are not consumed." So the Most High is coming to wipe out what's wrong on the earth. And then people can learn forgiveness. You should start now. Learn forgiveness now. Let go of the bitterness and the anger now. You see what's happening right now is punishment on the earth. It's okay to forgive. The Most High said he's going to come near to you to judgment and be a swift witness against those that oppress the hireling even and his wages. These evil corporations. The Most High got us. The Most High got us. All right. So I hope I was able to help answer the brother's requests. And if you have any, let me check this chat real quick. If you have any questions or concerns, hey Calvin, how you doing? Shalom, shalom. How are you this evening, brother? If you're still there. But yeah, that's really all I had to bring forth. I hope that that answers the brother's request, and that you all continue to have a wonderful night and work out these relationships. Understand that all of this is temporary, and it's not gonna last forever. So you might as well live your life. Just live your life like Rihanna and T.I. said. Hey, right? All right, y'all. Peace. Shalom.